When I left high school, I remember all my family members that were present in my life telling me to go to college, get a good job after I finished, right? They were saying that the entire time I was in high school up until even when I finished. So I thought that was the path to take just because that's what I kept hearing the most. And I remember when I started college, I'm not going to go into the entire journey up to that. I think I've done a video when I just started my YouTube channel talking about that, and maybe I'll talk about it another time. But for today's video, I remember when I started, I was excited because I felt like I was living in something that I didn't even know how it was going to turn out, even though I knew that's what I wanted. But when I actually came to college, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was supposed to expect. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing outside of my regular day-to-day schoolwork. Then I knew I had to work because I had to pay rent and other personal bills. So I knew that part, but I didn't know I was supposed to be creating a plan for when I left. So every single day, I was just focusing on going to classes, doing my jobs that I had, whether that's internships or on-campus opportunities, and the clubs that I was a part of. I was in various different leadership roles. So I was very active in school, out of school, right? In terms of jobs and leadership roles and so forth. So I was doing all of those things, and I thought, that was the ultimate college package and experience. I realized as I was getting closer to the end of my degree that some of my peers who we were all in the same job environment were kind of matriculating to different spaces. And I was still where I'm at because I didn't realize that this was just the beginning of the shift. And I knew that when I graduated, I had to find a job, but I didn't understand that I was supposed to start that process while I was in school. So even though that was a beginning of me identifying that I don't really thrive in certain uncomfortable spaces. I didn't want to network and reach out to people because it felt forced and uncomfortable and it didn't feel like a genuine thing. But I still didn't understand how to find my way in that space and how to do it in a way that actually works for me without neglecting the practice. In general, most of my peers moved on to jobs that some of them are still working in right now, and these are major companies and they have matriculated up the ladder and doing their things, right? And I went on to jobs too, but many that I did not like and many that I had to take because of the financial decisions that I made. One of the companies that I work at was a recruiting company when I just left undergrad, and at that company they used to do this thing that I despise so much, but now I actually appreciate. Every single week, once a week, we had to go into the boardroom to have a meeting. And in that meeting, we were discussing the goals that were met for that week, who was a top performer or top player, what are the goals for the next week, are we on track for the quarterly goals, for the annual goals, etc. Every single time when we went into that meeting, I was just so desperate for it to end because I was so much outside of my element. I just didn't want to be in this intimate space of just constant talking about company goals. I just felt it was just unnecessary, especially because it was happening every single week. I realized when I said that I went through 5 years of trying to figure out my finances, it was just not my finances only. It's just an entire direction for my life. And I understood, or at least let me say now I'm understanding even more the importance of those meetings. I created a series on my channel called the CEO series, which is a cultivated elevated outcomes, and you can go check that out because I realize that we have a lot more control than we think, and because sometimes we're so caught up into thinking that we don't, we miss the opportunities that are there. And oftentimes we look, just like how I looked at all my peers and I say they went on to these companies and I did not really get the roles that I wanted at the time. that's how a lot of us look at other people who have achieved the level of success that we want, and not realize that what they did is just to create a plan, and that you can absolutely do the same thing too. So since I started to think back on those experiences and just how that company was just thriving and it was just like compounding these tasks over time, I started to think back on many other things. Like one of the organizations that I was a part of in my undergrad was the NSCIS, something like that. I was actually the president for the organization, so I don't know why I don't remember the name. But in that organization, and probably I was introduced to it in many other courses too, but I particularly remember we were on a Zoom training for like 4 weeks, just going through different goal setting processes, and the coordinator of it was kind of helping us to map out how to materialize these goals into like tiny action items. And it kind of made things became a lot more practical, a lot more real, and a lot more digestible. I think we overcomplicate things a lot, and if you're like me, probably you do it even twice the normal average. And it's just because it's not that you doubt yourself or think you can't achieve these things, but it's also because it just becomes overwhelming and you don't see the roadmap because you're just thinking of the entire picture. And that's great because, as I said, remember in my example where I talked about my undergrad experience, I was just living in my day to day. I did not have a strategy. I wasn't looking at the overall 4 years. I wasn't looking at what I wanted to accomplish at the end of the 4 years. I was just literally going through my days. And the funny thing is, it was hard enough to go through my days. Much less. I couldn't fathom thinking about big picture because I couldn't even go through my days without feeling like I was carrying the entire world on my back. And so it was just merely out of surviving day to day to day to day to semester to year, and all of that, right? But something that I started to implement in my life right now and that I want to talk about and suggest to you to implement in your life as well is what I call the bite-sized life. And this is really to help you to see your goals different and to see the action steps that you need to take very different and see them in your reach. So what I'm suggesting is this: write down all the goals that you want to accomplish for the rest of the year. Every single thing. It doesn't matter if it seems like it's possible or not. It doesn't matter if it feels like you can achieve it or not. Just write down everything that comes to your mind that is something that you want to say, okay, I did that this year. And what you're going to do is, since obviously we are already 5 months into the year, we have 7 months left. So you're going to break those down into 7 months, into 7 sections. Like, okay, month 1, this is what I want to accomplish. Month 2, month 3, month 4. Then you're going to break those down into weekly. So every week, this is what I need to accomplish. And then you're going to break those into daily. Every day, this is what I want to accomplish. You are going to realize that the days are compounding into weeks, the weeks are compounding into months, and the month is compounding into year. And by the time you look, within 7 months, you've accomplished way more because you're not just thinking about it as 7 months. You're thinking about as today, this is what I'm going to do. Tomorrow, that's what I'm going to do, etc. But if you're just looking at today, tomorrow, what you're going to do, you're going to get caught up in the trap that I did when I was in undergrad, which is just focusing on the day to day and not really having a strategy for what I wanted to accomplish at the end of the day. So within these 7 days, within this week, there's 2 important things that I want you to do, which are things that I implement in my life as well. So 5 days, you're doing the day to day. This is everything in the day to day that you need to do. 1 day, you're resting, because I don't think we understand the power of resting our minds sometimes, especially if you're an ambitious person who is just always on the go. You're always doing something, you're always trying to figure out something. And I'm guilty of this many times because there's so much to do and it just feels like you're not getting enough done, right? And because you just want to accomplish these things, you are trying to go at a race that is faster than your mind can fathom, and so you are literally draining yourself trying to get to the goals instead of resting yourself at the time when you need to rest so you can function better when it's time for you to work. And so after you're doing these 5 days of productivity, you're trying to make sure that you are putting in the hours for these things. And in these daily tasks, I would suggest timing yourself, because whenever I time myself when I'm doing something, I get that thing done within the time and I get more time to do other things, you know? I don't remember which law this is, but it says that work will take up the time that it's allotted, which means if you have 30 minutes to do a task, it will take 30 minutes. And if you have 3 hours to do a task, it will take 3 hours. So obviously you're going to section out things. Maybe you're working on multiple things at a time and you need to just section things an hour by hour, just so you get everything done and you still get time to relax and wind down before bed. So time yourself when you're doing things so that you are actually getting to the things that you need to do, right? And this is not a college video, but if you do have a child in college, you can share it with them. But this is really a life video, because you have to give your life direction. Just like I'm talking about money and giving your money direction, you also have to give your life direction, because that ultimately will increase your money. So then you have something to direct. But back to what I was saying about the 5 days, right? You're timing yourself, you're making sure that you're getting these things done in a certain amount of time so you can get things done. And then you're resting. We're not skipping the rest, not because you have 5 million things on your to-do list means we're not skipping the rest, because you need to have time to think. You need to have time to just reset and to get yourself back ready to tackle on the new task. And so that's 6 days, right? The 7th day, or I don't know which order you want to do this in, it doesn't really matter, but one of the days is for recruit mode, right? And that is just like I described at the recruiting job that I had, and I just call it recruit mode because that's the easiest way for me to remember it. You're taking that day to strategize, and you're going to assess, did I achieve the goals that I set for this week? What are my goals for next week? What do I need to do to get back on track if I got off track? What this is doing essentially is helping you to catch things quickly. If in the first week you did not achieve everything, now you have the next week, so that you can still balance out yourself, so that by the end of the month you could ultimately achieve all the goals you set for the month. You're catching things before they spill over, right? You're not waiting until the end of the year to realize that you didn't achieve the goals. You are checking them every single week to see what you need to get back on track with, what you need to adjust, what you're doing great with, what you're on track for, and so forth. It helps you to manage risk better and to be able to adjust yourself better, right? I think with this system, it will help you to achieve more and to be at a more pace with yourself, and you're more connected and you're more in tune, because just like when you're checking your money every single day or every week, you know what's in your account. When you're catching up with your goals, when you're in the day-to-day of your life, but you're also in the big picture of your life, you know that these small things that you're doing, they're adding up to something major. So it also helps you to stay committed to your vision, because you know that you're working towards something, and it's not just these mundane tasks that you're getting up every day and doing when you could be doing something else. So this is a system that I've implemented in my life that has worked for me, and I just wanted to share that with you, because I know that when you go through something, sometimes you don't understand the reason why you had to go through it, but many times it's to help somebody on their journey. And so if I can share something that can be beneficial to anybody watching my channel, that's what I'm here for. That's what I want to be a part of, to contribute to. And I want you to get the things that you desire, to help you invest in yourself. And a part of investing in yourself is to understand how to look at your life. You know, of course, I haven't figured it out fully. I'm not an expert. I've never claimed to be, nor will I ever claim to be, even with my accolades and more to come. But I have my life experiences that I've gone through that have helped me, and I just believe they will be impactful for you if implemented. So if you want to try out this system, you can go ahead and try it out. Comment below after you've tried it. Let me know how it has worked for you, and share this with a friend so they could try it as well, and we can all get to achieving our goals for the rest of 2026. All right, so if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for joining. I hope you've enjoyed this video and the previous videos as well. And you can go check out my CEO series where I've dived into these cultivating your elevated outcomes a lot more deeper. But I just thought I'd come on here and share that because it just came on my spirit today. And give the video a thumbs up. Share with anybody that this could benefit. Also follow me on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Khrista-Lee Amore. And I'll see you in the next one tomorrow. Until then, let's go make some mistakes. Bye.